It's early in the morning. While enjoying your morning coffee, you hear someone lurking in your backyard. You go to investigate as he tests the door. Do you retreat or do you stand your ground? Stop the Threat starts now. Hello and welcome to Stop the Threat. My name is James Towle. On this week's episode, we take you to the orange state of Florida for a reenactment which we call Bad Invasion. Let me introduce you to this week's panel. Wes Doss, president of Kyber Interactive Associates. Rich Portwood, police officer from the state of Illinois, and Sergeant Duncan Stewart, retired Connecticut PD. But before I do this, I have heard a rumor that Rich is using airsoft as a training tool. Is that correct?
Well, I love competitive shooting, and the nearest indoor range is an hour and a half away from us. And so you don't get to make a lot of matches during the wintertime. So what I decided to do was bring competitive shooting to me and started the league with airsoft guns, and we're doing some IDPA stages and some USPSA stages.
Yeah, hey, I like our airsoft. I like it a lot. I have maybe $1,000 worth of equipment in there, which I don't consider to be a lot considering other things that I would have. I have a lot of fun with it. We do it in the garden, actually. We set up targets. People who don't even shoot will come over to play. It's a great introduction into the industry, and I understand that you have an interest in it.
I think that that force-on-force training is very important, and I think because it teaches you a lot of really, lessons to be learned from a gunfight that you're not going to learn any other way. When you watch video cams of police shootings and all dashboard cameras, you'll see how the cops, what they do, how they react, and all. You see a lot of the same movements when you get involved in using force on force, moving off the X and doing things like that, where you'll see guys react pretty much the same way as if they were shooting, in a real life scenario. And I think that those are valuable lessons that, if used in proper context, can be a real good training aid.
Wes, anything?
Yeah, absolutely. Been using it for years.
Oh, really? See, I didn't know that.
Absolutely. It's easier to ship and it's economical. Supplies are always readily available, and for those agencies that aren't budgeted for some of the more expensive products that are out there, it's a cost-effective method. The only shortcoming it's got is it's a little temperature sensitive if you're using some of the gas-operated stuff, and it's got some shortcomings that I'm not sure how fast the industry is actually addressing it, but it's still a pretty viable tool.
So are you using it force on force in your training?
We do use it on force because it also lets me hand a gun to an officer or an individual that's similar to the one that they have, as opposed to relegated to one that they make a kit for.
Yeah, because they make them almost in every model now. I mean, it's amazing what you can get. And the feel is very much like the real weapon. Are you using force on force?
Yeah, we're actually making plans for some stages to build shoot houses out of some tarps, and you can practice low light shooting with it. You can practice clearing the rooms. And we're actually going to go the route of having an active shooter inside those rooms, and it's going to be kind of a competition who can clear the rooms fastest against someone who's actually shooting at you.
Right. No, I think that's great, and it's year-round.
Yeah.
Okay? Even in the worst of places, in the worst of weather, which you experience, you can go inside and do this.
Right.
I think it's a great idea. When we come back, I'm going to show you part 1 of Bad Invasion. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. I'm about to show you part 1 of Bad Invasion, but I want to keep us tuned up on some stats here. Home invasion is lumped generally under burglary, so home invasion stats are a little difficult to come by. For the purpose of this, I'm going to read you the way it is spelled out law-wise. The term home invasion has been used broadly to describe any crime by an individual unlawfully entering a residence while someone is at home. More narrowly, home invasion has been used to describe a situation where an offender forcibly enters an occupied residence with the specific intent of robbing or violently harming those inside. That said, let's watch part one.
Good morning.
Morning. Coffee?
Thanks.
What was that?
I'll check it out.
Hey! Hey, get out of here! Get back! Get back!
Get our guns from the safe.
I will shoot you! Leave now!
Yeah, okay. First of all, I just want to remind the viewers that all of the reenactments we do are based upon the information we have received on that particular crime incident. And sometimes it seems like truth is stranger than fiction. In this particular case, where do you want to start with this? I mean, I'm happy with the fact that the guy loaded and checked his weapon before he left his bedroom. Okay, hey, I mean, that may even be more than I do sometimes. So he was thinking right from getting up that morning that I'm going to be armed and ready. But things might get a little confusing later. Where?
When the mother comes back with another gun. That's what I'm thinking. In the heat of the moment, where's the son? Where's the home invader? We don't know what the lighting situation is in the house. Who's where?
Okay, so we're having coffee. We hear the door rattling.
What was that?
It alerts us. I'm going to call him the son because he is. Son says, okay, I'll go check it out. He goes to the door and he brandishes the weapon first, sort of reinforcing get away from the door. How you feel about that?
Well, you know, you're in your own domicile. You're in your own home. I mean, you can have the weapon out if you want to have the weapon out. He had the weapon out. He obviously showed the gentleman at the door that he had a weapon. He pointed it at him, was giving verbal commands. I'm not certain that the guy could hear him, though. I'm not certain that I'm not sure. Maybe this guy's deaf. I'm not sure. And fired through the glass, and the guy continued to try and open the door.
Yeah, firing through the glass, you okay with that?
Well, I think there's certainly better solutions. I mean, why wouldn't you retreat to a position of advantage? You have other people in the house, try to get them together, and then at whatever point your safe area is or whatever, that's where you make your stand. If that guy breaches that point, then, you know, all bets off. But shooting through the door, through the glass like that, either he didn't hit him or his round was ineffective anyway, so.
I think it's a little premature, and I'm going to speak in general for most people. And certainly social media, you can correct me if you feel differently. I know you will, in fact. But if I'm going up to the door and someone's rattling on it, I don't know how much of a hurry I'm going to be to squeeze a round off. I don't think most people are going to fire a round until they feel immediate danger. And somebody outside doing this, banging on the door, may not be immediate danger. I might like your solution. Back up, call 911. Hey, what's going on out here with this guy's trying to get into my home? I don't recognize him. So what else could go wrong?
Well, not just for the sake of backing up, but for the sake of putting yourself in a more tactically sound position.
You don't know if he's armed.
And what's between you and him is a pane of glass.
It's a pane of glass, correct. So shooting was the correct thing or incorrect thing?
No, I think he should have got himself to some position of cover and then challenged. And at that point, the guy breaches the door. He's in the house. Well, then all bets are off.
Okay, so
Well, as devil's advocate, though, like what Wes was saying, what if the guy has some sort of disability? But more than that, what if he's trying to get into the house because he needs help? What if he's been attacked outside?
hey, that's a good point. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back, viewers. We've seen part one of Bad Invasion. We've had a few minutes to talk about some of the things that we were comfortable or uncomfortable with. But let me ask you this. At some point, you have to stop giving the invader the benefit of the doubt. Let's watch part two.
Fired a warning shot, but he's still trying to get in.
What do we do?
Call the police. We'll keep an eye on him.
We're armed and we're calling the police. Leave now. Stop! Don't come any closer! Don't move! Call the police.
Okay, I'm quite sure they were picking lead out of that wall for about the next 6 months.
He picked the wrong house.
It was definitely the wrong house. And I don't think he was expecting that, but I do think we are working with a mentally challenged individual. And did they understand that they was mentally challenged? I'm not sure they got that point. What I'm sure of is that something was going to take place here, and they are not going to be tolerant enough to allow anything to go too out of hand. They were going to open fire on the individual. I didn't see a gun on the individual. Did anybody else? No. No. So he wasn't armed, but obviously scared them enough into unloading a lot of weapons on an individual. Again, I go back to the fact that generally speaking, most people are not going to open fire on someone until they feel absolutely certain that they are in danger. And I say that generally, not because obviously this is the exception of the rule. I don't know. Did they feel like they were in danger? Should they have felt that way?
They should have, yeah, because
They should
he
have.
obviously worked to get in. They gave him verbal commands,
Stop! Don't
get
come any
out,
closer.
don't come any closer, we're armed, we're calling the police, leave us alone. And he still charged forward. At that point, yeah, I would take that as an aggressive move towards my safety.
I mean, he had an unarmed man, but they didn't know, but he was in their home. He'd already violated. They already shot the warning shot off. They'd already had enough information been given to this guy at some point in time that don't come in here, and yet he still forced his way into the home.
Could the homeowners have done anything else to prevent a shooting? How could they have possibly changed this without pulling triggers?
Maybe retreat further into the house.
Maybe retreat further into the house. I like that.
I don't think that they, at that point.
I understand legally they had every right.
Not even legally, but I'm saying at that point, when he was challenged, he's got 3 guns pointed at him, and he still is going to charge you. I don't think they had any choice but to shoot him. Once they committed to that level, you're pointing a gun at somebody, and we're in close proximity, and that guy, pretty big guy, is charging you. To me, and it's in your home, after this guy's already broken in, I think it's a shoot situation.
I agree. I think the way I was interpreting your question is when he's breaking in, instead of staying right there, could you have retreated further into the house and make him break through a couple more doors to get you to avoid shooting him? But I don't think I would have done that. I think I would have stayed right there.
Okay, I know I'm going to get a lot of conversation on this, and certainly come to me on Facebook or Twitter, and let's discuss this, whether or not the trigger should have been pulled. So I'm going to throw this on the table, okay? There's 3 people in the home. One of them is, well, they're all armed, I'm sorry. There's 3 people in the home. A mentally disturbed individual who appears not to be afraid of weapons, with some kind of a Superman complex, is now charging you. You're law enforcement. Would you pull the trigger?
That's at my house in that situation?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if the 3 of you were in your kitchen having coffee,
It's blaze ops.
huh?
It's blaze ops at that point.
So the question of let's swarm the guy never comes into the picture.
I don't think at that point you should go hands-on. I think you risk hurting yourself more than anything.
Well, and you don't know how coordinated mom, pop, and son were together in this scenario that would have even worked without one of them shooting each other in this scenario. You're threatened. You're in your own home. This guy physically broke into
I
the home.
totally agree with you. You have every right. As a matter of fact, even when he's at the door, he's already trespassing. Okay, he's not even in the home yet. You have the right to do what you can do right there.
And this guy already had a shot fired at him.
Right.
And he's still going to come through the door.
Okay, but-
And then when he comes through the door, he's going to be inside. Then he's going to charge you again. And like I said, if I don't have a weapon in my hand, hands-on is possible. But once you're committed to that, you have this gun in your hand. I don't want to lose the gun. And at that point, and I'm shooting him.
My original fear when the mother went back to get another gun, I thought, oh man, this is going to be horrible. There's going to be a crossfire. She's going to confuse the son for the attacker.
Certainly could happen.
But it seemed like they had kind of rehearsed this because everyone took a clear field of fire, and it worked out in their favor.
I totally agree. I think the family involved, and based upon the information we have, viewers, the family involved were all shooters. They'd spent time on the range. They were very gun familiar. So when this came down, you couldn't pick a house that would be the worst situation to do this to. I mean, I guess you have to be mentally disturbed because you're not going to get out of this one. And okay, I'm going to throw another one on the table. Wild card. When I come back, I'll do that. Welcome back. I was just about to say, and I'm just going to throw this on the table. How do you feel about leaving out the back door?
It's my house, my
okay.
residence, and there's other things in that house. Who knows if now he has access, he at least has access to knives and other things besides the fact that who knows if there's other guns that are around any place. So now you're making this bad guy an armed bad guy.
How do we know if he's alone? Who's to
Okay,
say
we
there
don't
isn't
know that.
somebody
Absolutely. We
waiting
don't.
at the
We
door?
don't.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And don't forget, he's already had a shot fired at it. He's already knows these people are armed, and yet he's still made that decision to storm in that door.
Okay, I'm going to change the circumstances. It's a woman alone.
In
She
the
has
home.
a gun.
In the home.
But she's alone. Right. He's forced his way in.
Shoot.
Can she leave, or should she shoot?
She could always leave, but she probably, under these circumstances that are presented, probably
You're going to say shoot?
Yeah.
You're going to say shoot?
Shoot.
Shoot. I'm really interested in what you have to say, viewers. So get with me on Twitter, get with me on Facebook. I know that you're probably not going to agree with everything I've said, so let's discuss that a little further. What else could take place here? Have we pretty much covered anything that can go wrong? I mean, given the circumstances and the 3 individuals there and the fact that they're well-trained, well-armed, they're standing their ground, they're legally able to do what they do, except they're going to kill somebody. Any ramifications to that?
You mean morally or legally?
Morally.
Morally, that's going to be up to them to decide. And I think in any use of force situation, I think part of the morality is how you perceive it. If you feel you're just, it's a lot easier pill to swallow than if you have, doubts about, did what I do, was it right? Could I have done something else?
Wes?
I agree entirely. I mean, legally, no problem.
No question.
Morally, it depends on which direction their compass is pointing, but and how they manage that. But I think under the circumstances, I would think it would be minimal.
Rich?
Yeah, I agree with these guys. I think that the moral issue, obviously this guy was a threat, and I think that's going to make it easier for them. But I think it's something that everyone who is going to carry a gun needs to come to terms with, that this is something that you might have to do and be prepared for the consequences.
Okay, does anyone know anyone who's ever gotten into this situation who didn't have some remorse to deal with? I mean, we're talking about people here who are probably not doing this every day, so they are going to deal with remorse.
It's, you know, human to feel remorse. I think you'd be...
I think we have to leave it at human. I think it's human to feel remorse. We've got to go. I do want to leave you with a comment that was sent to me from a resident in Early, Texas. And so here is what he said to me when he sent it. Life is mostly froth and battle. However, two things stand like stone: kindness in another's troubles, courage in your own. Be safe, be trained. See you again next week.